Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17 and I'm going to highlight to you today how to play the British in Company of Heroes 2. Right now I have a game, it's a 3v2, of course I'm British and my other two allies, AI, are British and they're versing two other, one OKW, one Vermont player. So just like a accurate representation of what could happen. But anyway, as they're going on and battling, I'm going to highlight to you commanders, abilities and other stuff that you get while playing as, of course, the British. But anyway, of course, let's get into the infantry portion of it. Of course, this is the infantry section. So this is what you get in the first hand. You get infantry section, which is pretty much the frontline infantry, Vickers heavy machine gun, this, and of course the universal carrier. We're going to first start off with the infantry section. The infantry section are just basic frontline infantry that you can upgrade. You can upgrade them with pretty much bolster infantry, the research weapon rack, and the Mills bomb. Now, while all that's going on, I'll highlight to you other special abilities they have, and then I'll go into those. So, without any of that stuff, pretty much you get the pyrotechnic supplies and medical. So we'll upgrade one with medical and one with pyrotechnics. Now, pyrotechnics is an ability in which enjoy the background sounds, but this is pretty much if you get to have this for anything, that for any type of vehicle or encampment, stuff like that. Even like the sniper has the ability eventually to get it. What it does is in your base you have, for the British, everything's already supplied. You have your two, pretty much the weapons as shown here that you can unlock. I'll talk to them a little bit later, and then two artillery guns. These you get these when you upgrade. So the second building, the platoon command post, and then the company command post, platoon, company, you get the artillery pieces. And when you activate the red flare, anywhere on the map you want, as long as you throw the flare, you can this artillery will fire. The artillery itself is actually pretty good. It's not exactly like very explosive or can change the battlefield, the game of the battlefield, but it will pepper the enemy and actually do quite a bit of damage. So overall, it's not half bad. But anyway, it will not attack. So like my allies are British, that doesn't mean that their abilities will come over to me. So I can't use their artillery because, again, what happens if they want to use their artillery? It kind of doesn't make sense. Anyway, you also get medical supplies. And now medical supplies are free, and you just activate it, and it just, of course, will heal and stuff like that, which is really nice. Wait, not sure why it's not doing it right now, but whatever. And then, of course, pyrotechnics. This costs 45 munitions, and it's very close range. So you have to make sure that you throw it, and you get really close range, and then get out of there. Especially if you have two, because artillery will hurt your own men. Anyway, let's just come over here to the weapon rack, and then I'll show you the weapons. I'll tell one of the men to grab the, let's see, this is a Piat, and then the other one is a Brand MOK light machine gun. That's 60, this is 40. Honestly, the reason why I'm doing two is that way it's a very distinction between them, like how they look. Again, you can only grab two per, and of course, as with another ability, which is the bolster infantry, all the infantry squads get an extra one guy. Now, I don't recommend getting that initially, and the reason I state this is because that's a big drain on manpower, and a 4-man squad is still pretty good. Like, it's still overall really good. You don't need a 5th guy until later in the game. Oh, great, there's a Panzer IV. Alright. Let me turn my quarter pounder, deal with that, and turn my centaur, deal with that incoming infantry, because, you know, I don't want to deal with that while doing this descriptive. Now, the Piat is good against, like, light vehicles, maybe medium. It's kind of like the bazooka in a sense, where it's okay, and you can see it right here. Overall, it's not the best. Again, infantry section normally don't come with AT, so that's the big weakness of infantry. They can't deal with that stuff early game. Or at least tanks, unless you give them the Piat. And the Piat's good, but honestly, it's not as good or as accurate as a bazooka, or as powerful as that stuff. So yeah. Wow, what is that? Oh, that's a Panzer IV, AJF. Okay, let me send my guy to heal that in the meantime. Yeah, very explosive. I'll highlight that a little bit later. Anyway, the other one is this pretty much the light machine gun, and oh my god, is this thing amazing. This thing will help destroy enemies very, very quickly. It makes the pretty much the front line very powerful, or like I guess their I'm sorry, it makes the infantry good at frontline combat and almost as good as fighting like Soldaten if you give them those weapons. It's really, really powerful, really, really good, and I highly recommend it for the British infantry. And again, I also recommend getting the Bolster Infantry Grenades eventually when you have the ability to suffer, like, get more manpower to your men. Also, of course, we can see here that they can put down this cover, and they can also put down a trench. Now, of course, the British have another ability where, if I click on them, you can see that they have this thing where move and squad in the cover to increase rate of fire. So they're not that great close range, similar to the riflemen, where they're good medium to long range. And essentially, what you have to do is put them in heavy cover, which they can make, and they just become more pretty much capable infantry. And especially if you put them behind heavy cover and the enemy's charging, they can definitely hold the line. The only concern is the fact that if you lose the infantry, it does cost a lot to bring them back. So again, nice specials, nice combos with them. They're good overall frontline infantry, but versing other infantry. But again, the biggest issue I find, I'm just gonna throw a grenade to show you its power. It's okay, grenade not that explosive, I find. It's okay. But anyway, the big thing about this is that the infantry section lack a lot of the AT components. They're still pretty good against infantry, and they're actually better against emplacements, but they, again, lack the AT that a lot of basic infantry has. They also actually have another ability where you can see they can put down fuel caches and munitions compared to engineers. You actually don't get any engineers in the beginning, so it's very, very important that you make sure that if you get a UC, Universal Carrier, that you make sure that it doesn't, that you can bring out engineer eventually repair it. I would say you probably upgrade to the platoon, probably within the first 5 minutes of the game. Most people upgrade within probably the first 4 to 5 minutes. The other one probably it sets a 10-minute mark, depending on your skill or and how much resources you're getting. Anyway, that's the basic frontline infantry. Let's move over to the Vickers. This is, by the way, that's 280 munitions. Okay, so it's a lot. And as we can see here, it's originally 6, but when you upgrade them to more men, it's 8 manpower. So just a little tidbit. Again, 100 manpower during this game. I did start off with high resources in this game, but it should have any impact right now. The Vickers Machine Gun is very powerful, and it's actually probably one of the best MGs in the game. But here's the thing about it that I think a lot of people forget. This thing has armor-piercing rounds, or at least a light variant of armor-piercing rounds. Now, people are like, oh my god, Greyshot, it doesn't have armor-piercing rounds. I've seen this thing just fighting like Luke's and doing damage to it. So yes, in some capacity, it has armor-piercing rounds. You can see here, it's best when inside of a building, and then penetration and field of control. Again, when this thing gets upgraded, the bullets become more powerful, and it'll definitely do a lot more against armor, so I highly recommend getting this. It does have actually a really wide arc of fire. I mean, look at that. That's huge. So it's definitely good at just holding back enemies. My only concern is the fact that, of course, like a normal MG, just run from different directions and you can get past it. Also, it doesn't have any special abilities, so this is one of the few MGs that doesn't have like a repositioning or armor piercing and stuff like that. So just a tidbit. That this MG doesn't really have any specials, but that being said, it's built-in armor piercing, and it does cost 280. So yeah, it's a really good MG, but just letting you know, it's very powerful. But again, it's definitely it definitely is not as armor piercing as the German variant, nor is it as maneuverable as the Soviet variant. Anyway, we're going to get over to the first, quote-unquote, again, this thing is not OP. Like, all these are so far, like, right now, it's, I believe, like, the first week of September as the time of this recording, and they haven't released any major patches. But if I think what they might patch is this thing. This is the Universal Carrier, and honestly, I think this thing might be the most OP thing that the British currently have. Or maybe it's highlighting an OP element. Anyway, when you get this thing, I got 1 star to highlight this, you can activate crew repair. So that way, of course, when it's 1 star, you can automatically repair it. That's why you don't need an an engineer. That being said, eventually, you can upgrade this, and you can upgrade to a better variant. You can do you can do a machine gun, or you can do a flamethrower, and I highly recommend the flamethrower. So, I mean, the MG is pretty good overall. I mean, it is very, very powerful. But the the reason why I recommend, I do highly recommend the the flamethrower is, I'll show you as soon as I upgrade. It's very destructive. They have upgraded this game to now flamethrowers are very, very powerful against infantry. And to where a KV-8, it was pretty good, but now it's feared. Like, it is extremely powerful and very, very harmful to the enemy front line. You can also put infantry in there to move around. So let's, you can put, not an MG, but you can put like a infantry section in there for extra firepower, maybe a Piat. I'm not sure why you would do that, but whatever. But once you upgrade that, as you can see, it doesn't have, you know, there's no more room in there for it. I'm not sure about the mounted MG, if you could still have it in there, but it's just a cost and effect. So, let's see. Okay, so we're going to say here. That's how long it can fire, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And the flames are also really good against encampments. But the flame stays. That's the big thing in Company of Heroes 2. This flamethrower stays, and it will burn infantry. So if it fires against an MG, the MG will slowly burn to death. So that's the big draw for it. But that flamethrower does a ton against infantry. It's very, very powerful. It can probably kill an entire infantry squad in probably like 2 bursts. So, and if it's a blob, the blob will just be encompassed in fire. It's great. It's fantastic. You'll probably see a lot of people spamming this because of the early flamethrower advantage. But again, to get the flamethrower, you need to upgrade to the platoon post. But as long as you do that quickly, you should be fine and get the flamethrower out very, very quickly. So, an easy way to counter this is the Verketenwerfer, or Panzerfaust from behind. And I want to highlight something. I'm going to move back my infantry just to highlight this small thing. So I'm going to turn my quarter pounder and have it fire upon this thing because I want to show you an element to the flame barrage, okay? Because I feel like a lot of people, they say, oh my god, this thing is OP, but they don't highlight the unfortunate side effect of this thing. So the engineers have the ability to make a forward post. So this thing right here, what they can do with that is very simple. What they can do is you can activate this and actually use the forward retreat point, costs 200, and then of course you can also use pyrotechnics, coordinated fire on this, so you can do it over here. I'm not going to do it right now because again I don't want the artillery to hit my own men. Alright, come on. Number 2, let's try to do this. Alright, you come back here. You can also equip them with hazard removal kit. They can also place mines, barbed wire, no tank traps, just heads up. They can put down the mortar, which again is over here, and it's pretty good because you can do the mortar barrage and also do smoke. And by the way, all these encampments can brace. So as shown here, they'll stop firing and they can hold, not this, but these two specifically can embrace, which allows them to take a lot of fire, a lot of damage, and not really, and be relatively okay. Again, they can't fill their munitions. He also can build a Boffer, and also he can build the quarter pounder as shown here, but again, you need the command post to build that as seen here. And pretty much anyone can build that. Now, I'm going to show you the Boffer. It's right over here. The AI was kind enough to build 3 of them, so I'm very thankful. Now, the Boffer is very, very good. It kills infantry really quickly. I mean, in like one hit, in like one pass, it can kill just the entire squad infantry. It's utterly ridiculous. If you get an AT gun too close, it'll die. And also, one of the special abilities of this is if you get infantry inside of it, it can do a suppressing fire. So it can actually fire outside of its normal range and suppress infantry. And that suppression will actually hurt and kill a lot of the infantry. So it's very, very powerful. Anyway, the sniper is really good at just hitting armored units. It actually can help take out bunkers if you want to. So the German bunker can actually just be taken out by this thing. Oh, nice shot. Anyway, so also it has critical shot, which it won't... You don't expect this thing to fight a Panther and win, but what it can do is you can get it with your armor group, so let's say with a bunch of tanks, and it can do a critical shot on a King Tiger or something, knock out its engine, maybe knock out its gun, something specifically like that. Make it blind. Anyway, it's a really good, effective, pretty much supporting infantry person to have with your vehicles. Also great for scouting. So the only detriment is, again, it takes, I believe, a really long time to reload. Also, I love it because when this thing fires, it just blows up infantry and turns them into a red mist. It's great. It's honestly really great. This AT gun costs about the sniper 360 like other snipers. This one is 280, so similar to the American AT. And honestly, it's pretty much very similar to the American AT. It has the pretty much, you can see maneuverability, so that's pretty good. And also pretty long range for an AT gun. But overall, it's your normal AT gun. I can't really say anything about it. It's pretty good damage-wise, but like I said, it's... Oh, relic. Huh, very funny. Overall, it's just okay. I can't say anything good or bad about it. It's just okay. I have to do more experimentation, but overall, it will suit your needs for an AT gun. It'll definitely puncture Tiger armor and stuff like that if needed, and do quite a bit of damage. Yeah, but I think it might be just slightly weaker than the Pack and the Soviet AT gun. But again, further testing needed. But that's what I've so far found out. But like I said, then you have the mortar, which you can build. This thing is very powerful. Be very cautious. It does cost, and I'm just going to put out here. Let's get the engineer. This thing costs 8. This thing is not. So 8 pop cap. The quarter pounder's 20 pop cap. Okay. And then the Boffer, which is 10. Honestly, out of the 3, the Boffer is really good. It's great against light vehicles. It will kill a scout car instantly. It will even hurt Panzer IVs. So, and do a lot of damage to them. Wow, okay. So, pretty good fight going on. Anyway, so, it will also do a lot of damage to infantry. Like I said, it will kill infantry. So that's why it's like, okay, it's worth it. The mortar is amazing at killing infantry. That being said, and I want to highlight this, you can kill these things with, like, I've seen a lot of counters to Stukas, support guns, even own mortars, AT guns, stuff like that. So they can be killed, and even though people are like, oh my god, they're OP, as long as you hit them when they're not embraced, these go down really quickly. Also, as you can see, they're kind of bunched up. That's bad because one airstrike, they're all dead. But the good thing about being so close is this forward assembly actually improves them. So we can actually click on the quarter pounder and see that, look, high rate of fire, rotation, and flare ability. So that's, I mean, that's pretty good. And then the forward assembly support is, let's see, is enabling this placement to access the garrison bonus without a squad garrisoned. So yeah, overall pretty good. You don't need the to get the special abilities typically for these. As you can see, it's like you need increased rate of fire and stuff that when a unit's inside. But as long as you have this thing next to it, you don't need to put infantry inside. So honestly, it's a pretty good idea to put a forward assembly next to your emplacements. That way it just improves them even more. And make sure you spread them out a little bit. That way an airstrike doesn't come in and take them all out. Or a Stuka bomb, something like that. And make sure you be cautious. Embrace when needed, as shown here. That way, of course, when an airstrike artillery hits, you are okay. But overall, I think the mortar's a good addition. The quarter pounder's iffy. Honestly, it's not. It can't shoot through buildings like a Pack 43. Okay. I mean, maybe. Like, maybe if you activate this, but that's 90. Pack 43 automatically does that. Although it does have the embrace. It does cost 75 fuel. So that's a counter where the Pack 43 is just 50. So take your pick. I like the Pack 43 a little bit more. I know it's not as, it can't exactly hold its position as much as this, but just because of the fact this can, like, pretty much hunker down. And while this thing could survive an airstrike from an IL-2, the other one can't, although that's Soviets or whatever. But you get my point. This thing can take more damage. The Pack 43 can't, but the Pack 43 is more, technically, in my opinion, more better. It's just more being able to shoot through obstacles at a better rate and not cost for it. Whatever, take your pick. It's still a really good AT gun. Anyway, let's go. And of course, that's accessed in the company command post. And you get that, of course, by going to your HQ. And there'll be two things. There'll be a platoon and company. You just upgraded. Platoon, I think, is like 260 and 35 fuel. You get that really quickly. The other one is like 360 and I think like 100 fuel or 125. It's a lot, honestly. And and again, from that, you can access to all your armor. So in the meantime, let's bring up a armored car, and I'll show you that. But anyway, this is a Centaur. It's like an Oswind, but in my opinion, a lot more powerful. It has a lot more armor to it as well. It costs 320 manpower and 100 fuel, so very similar to the Oswind, except a little bit more manpower. But honestly, this thing is very, very good. A very, very good tank. Yeah, highly recommend it. Okay, so here's a good example. So let's move up. We'll do a disabling shot on the Puma. And we'll see what happens. Boom, knocked out the engine. Lots of armor moving through. I'll get to those a little bit later. But but at least they're holding back the enemy, or at least mostly. Anyway, it's very good against killing infantry, and also has this ability where, as you can see here, strafing fire. That's very good at just hitting the enemy. Company Heroes 2, huh? Funny. But overall, very good tank. Highly recommend it, and yeah, it's just very, very powerful against infantry in general. So that's what it's good for. The Cromwell is like similar to a Panzer IV. It does actually have smoke shells, so that's interesting. Oh, and while this one doesn't have any specials, this one can be upgraded with a tank commander. And what a tank commander does is it allows the tank to pretty much have better sight lines, better turret rotation. What's this? And am I missing anything? Accuracy and vision. Yeah, there we go. For additional vision, increase the accuracy of the main gun, and the squad will earn veterancy faster. Okay. Overall, it's only 25 munitions. Highly recommend to get this thing, and it overall just helps out. But anyway, this pretty much the Cromwell is a pretty good tank. It's kind of slow in my opinion compared to a Panzer IV, but overall, it's a very, very good armored tank that can take a lot of hits, or a good chunk of hits like a Panzer IV. Good against infantry, good against other armored vehicles. It's not really great against anything. It's just a good tank. That's the best way I can describe it. And again, it costs about 340 and 110. So if you need to get armor, this is a good frontline tank for your infantry. But like I said, most of this armor cannot take many hits. It's not like a Jagd Panzer or something like that, or not even Jagd Panzer. I'm trying to think of like an KV or like German armor, where they can just take hit after hit and be okay. Some of the British tanks have a lot of armor, some of them don't. The Firefly is a great example. That is a tank that just can't take all that many hits. Anyway, let me go sacrifice my sniper. I need to get some other stuff out. Anyway, this armored car is really good as well. Again, you get this at the second stage with the platoon. Again, once you get it, you cannot unlock the Bofor, so it's one or the other. Man, nice shot on that Kubel. But overall, this thing is a good, it's a good light advanced armor unit. It can go toe to toe with a Puma. It costs, let's see, how much did it cost? 340 and 60. So overall, it's a really, really impressive tank. It can definitely hold its own. And actually, I've seen this thing actually in a recent replay be able to, man, Brackenwerfer trying to sneak attack. Again, that's the thing about the British. The Brackenwerfer is actually a really good AT gun now for just sneaking up and taking out encampments. Anyway, so this thing is pretty much good against, I would say, infantry alike with some armor units. It's pretty good here in the meantime. Oh, really? I don't understand that. 14. Whatever. Anyway, it's pretty good. You can see it activate smoke. It's good at hit and run tactics. And I've seen this thing someone having two of these and attacking someone's base with it. So you can do this for an early base rush if you wanted to, and it is actually pretty powerful. But that being said, it is a light vehicle. It can't take that many AT hits and pretty much will go down pretty quickly. So we'll just send that over to the enemy base along with this other one. I'll keep that thing here for protection. That way, of course, I can get out some of the bigger, badder tanks. Hopefully they can kill it, hopefully. Anyway, like I said, it can activate smoke, so similar to the German variety with the Puma. Very similar in that aspect, except this thing is really, really good just against infantry as well. Or pretty good against infantry. Or it should be pretty good against infantry. Wow, really? I saw this thing squad wipe a squad. Okay. Whatever. Oh my god, run him over. Nope. Alright, whatever. Maybe not as good against infantry as I thought. But I saw a squad wipe and a squad. Maybe that was just complete random luck. I'm like, oh, okay, it's pretty good. Like I said, can't take all that many hits, but it's still a good frontline tank. Anyway, so let's continue on, shall we? There are two things right now. So we can get a Comet, or we can get a Churchill. Both of these are part of the... Here, let's get a Firefly in the meantime. But the Comet tank is a really good overall tank. It's probably... I would consider it similar to like an Easy 8, just maybe a little more powerful. But you get this through the hammer specialization. Note, once you pick a specialization, you can't get the other vehicle. Now, I'm going to assume, because... yeah, here we go. yeah, here's the Churchill. This is a great example of a Churchill, and I'll go over that, I guess, before I get the Comet. So, well, while this thing is upgraded, I should say. So the Churchill, as you can see, is fighting a Stug. However, the Stug, it's winning. The Churchill is a good gun. It's a good gun, not a great gun. It's like this is like an ultimate KV in my personal opinion. Its gun is like a pretty okay gun. It can fight lighter, medium armor units. And it would actually win against lighter, medium armor units because a lot of the shots will bounce. Oh my god, AI for the win. Oh my god, AI for the win, whatever. So, once the Churchill is pretty good against this stuff, and it can just take hit after hit after hit, it has an incredible amount of armor. It's ridiculous. It also has special abilities where you can eventually check out a grenade through the hatch. So if infantry are trying to rush it, you can check out a grenade. You can fire smoke from behind, which will allow you... So you can have this thing, let's say, there's a bunch of infantry right here, and your infantry are pinned down. Just have it go from left to right and do a smoke trail, and you can essentially make sure your infantry are safe. It's really cool in that fact. Yeah, another Cromwell. Again, the best thing to do is get your stuff upgraded because, again, the British upgrades are actually really good. Here's a great example. So, elite crews repair engine-related criticals on their own after a short while. Position the turret, and yeah, here we go. The crew will defend the sides of the tank, attacking any infantry using small arms. So they'll actually have gunfire coming out of the tank, shooting them close range. It's great. Anyway, let's highlight the Firefly. So we're going to go rockets, and they're also... Wow, okay, they're both going at the same time. That's cool. So the Firefly is a very similar to the Jackson. Very similar to the Jackson. Okay, into where this thing has a lot of, pretty much a very powerful gun, very slow rotation speed unless you get upgraded, but it has a very slow rate of fire and a very slow rotation speed. However, this thing is amazing, absolutely amazing at just penetrating and doing tons of damage to heavy armor. So you keep this thing in the back, move up a Cromwell or a Comet, and just have it snipe armor. That's what I recommend. I'm also going to do something else. You can upgrade it as I saw here with rockets, okay? Here's the thing. I should probably explain this. It's very powerful against armor, and it can kill some infantry. I'm sorry, AI. I have to do this. Wow, okay, right through. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Pfft, whatever. That was a whiff. But anyway, it's a very powerful explosive shot, costs 100. It can help kill obstacles and or enemy armor. The problem with it is the fact it lacks armor. Like, this thing just lacks armor. It's great. It's a hard-hitting unit, but it cannot take hits. I've seen this thing die from, like, 3 tank shots. So, in a Panzer IV. This, like, unlike a Jackson, where usually a Jackson will win, I've seen this thing die to a Panzer IV. Like, just one-on-one, just because of the fact that it was able to just go around it, and it wasn't able to shoot it. So, by itself, this thing is not a good tank. You need support. You need it, like, behind enemy lines for it to be very good. Okay. I like the skin. Goddamn, AI getting all the cool skins. Anyway. What was I going to mention? Oh, yeah, so, like I said, it's a very hard-hitting tank, but, again, you need support. Also, here's another thing. Look at that range. So, it can fire... Alright, so we'll just do a test run. So... It can fire really far, is what also I'm trying to state. So this thing I've seen snipe an enemy tank just like barely out of scope. So you can keep this thing really far back and it can fire like pretty long distances. So like I said, if I'm moving this thing back and I were to, let's say, target something, I can hit the road all the way from over here. So that's pretty long range in my personal opinion. For like a tank, that is exceptionally long range. And it's also pretty accurate too, especially if you get vetted up. So that's what I highly recommend. Of course, with the hammer specialization, it does have a few combos as well. Like I said, the hammer specialization has the Comet tank. It has the Gamma Bomb, which is good against like hurting both tanks and infantry alike. Emergency repairs are pretty good because, again, it just repairs your infantry. Repairs your vehicles. And the track vehicles are also pretty good at just, again, as you can see, just making sure you know where the enemy is while engaging. Let's see. We have a Cromwell coming out. Very good. Anyway, the other one, the Anvil, is really good for, as hammer is good for offensive, anvil is good for defensive. What that does is it makes these what is it? Where is it? Ah, here we go. The coordinated fire ability, it makes them a little bit better firepower. It gives you heavy engineers, and also it gives you actually ability to where you can see how there's nothing here. It allows you to see this entire point, which is actually really good, because again, you can see the point, and if enemy comes, you're like, oh, okay, they have these units, so I can go kill it. Okay, my tank's coming through this area. Please don't get stuck. Anyway, so overall, this again, the anvil is pretty good for offensive. I'm sorry, hammer's good for offensive, anvil's good for defensive. And then now we have the Comet tank. And like I said, the Churchills, my god, can they take a lot, and I do mean a lot of hits. So, yeah, just be cautious. If you fight it's going to take a lot more AT than you think to kill one of these things. Then you have the Comet. This thing is, again, like an easy 8, in my opinion. It can fire pretty far. Actually, here's a good example. Just we'll see the range of each of these, just like an example. But anyway, the Cromwell, you can upgrade it with this. It can fire a grenade. So, throw a grenade out the hatch. Pop. We have smoke shell. Pretty good. And of course, as you can see, it can fire to here. And then, of course, the Cromwell. The other one can fire up to there. So you can see the range in, I guess, firepower. And this one can fire to about here. So there's like different ranges for each one, but you can definitely see like why one, again, definitely this one has some range. I'm actually curious. Can I show like its impact on buildings? No, there's that bunker. Let's try it over there. All right, yeah, you have to get closer. Not sure why, just hit there, but whatever. Anyway, what else am I thinking? Yeah, anyway, so the Comet's a really, really good tank. Really good front line, can take a lot of hits. If you're going for an assault idea, you either with the Comet or the Churchill in front. And by the way, this is expensive. It costs 500 and 185 fuel. Note I'm floating on it because again, this is a highlight video, but pretty much I want to give the idea that the Comet is used as like a frontline tank, and with the Firefly is used as a sniping support tank. So this thing will be good against like the infantry on the ground, stuff like that. Note that none of these have like necessarily a machine gun you can put up top, so they don't have the added infantry bonus as like German tanks, or even American tanks. But like I said, their main gun is pretty good against infantry, and if you move this thing up, takes a few hits, and you have a couple of Fireflies in the back, they snipe the enemy. And then maybe a Centaur to help with infantry if you wanted. But that's pretty much the idea. If you want to do that to an extreme, Churchill is where you want to go. And yeah, it's a very good tank to just hold on and keep taking hit after hit, and then have your Fireflies just clear the way as they deal, and then the Churchills deal with the infantry. But overall, that's all the vehicles that I can pretty much highlight and show off to you guys for the British forces, at least in the main collection here. Now, I do want to highlight some doctrines. I haven't picked a doctrine yet. There are quite a few doctrines you can pick, and I'm just going to highlight them to you. First off is the... Alright, first off, we have the Commando Regiment. The Commando Regiment, which one of the Allies went, it's pretty good. You have Smoke Raid, which will, again, when your guys are attacking, they'll smoke your guys so they can, it'll be pretty good. Infantry Selection will deploy recon planes throughout all the enemy territory. Commandos is that glider you keep seeing come down. It's 500 munitions, but again, you can deploy commandos from it. It deploys a commando, and then you can also reinforce your guys, as long as that thing lands in friendly territory. There was also a glitch where you could like send it out to an enemy. Like, say I wanted to send it at this thing, I could put it in the landing strip, it would go, hit the thing, and instantly kill it. I think they did a subtle patch to fix it, but that was something that it popped up, and my brother accidentally did it, and he like busted out laughing like, oh my god, I killed the Flak HQ because it accidentally hit it. Anyway, also, it has the mortar cover, which is pretty good, because again, when you attack, it does a mix of explosive white phosphorus, which is really, really good at just hitting a territory that's heavily fortified. And then you have the ultimate FU, which is the air supremacy operation, which deploys heavy bombers and will kill everything in its area. It's ridiculous how powerful that thing is. Absolutely ridiculous how extremely powerful that airstrike is. And that's probably the other OP thing about this faction. Like I said, I think that the weakness of the British is they have strong early game, weak mid game, and then strong late game. Because of the fact they don't have that really good light armor that really helps them out. Their encampments are good, but that doesn't help them with offensive, which is why you need to do the early game to push, hold the territory until you can rank up and get your tanks, and then eventually push again. Which you're going to see, like, which is why I think with the British you see that two-pronged assault where you have the initial assault, hold, reinforce, push. Compared to other stuff where OKW where it's more general push. Wow, okay. Flak doing damage against a Jagdpanzer. Alright then. Anyway. Let's see. Then we have these two. These two are special. And then with the Royal Artillery is another one you get. With, I guess, your basic 3 doctrines. So anyway, the AVR as stated, it's very explosive. It says it's a petard mortar, but essentially it's like a Sturm Tiger or fires a shot. You kind of see the shot coming, and it's, like, in my opinion, like closer range than a Sturm Tiger, and it's not as powerful. But again, the vehicle itself is a quote-unquote Churchill, so it can take a lot of shots. Anti-building flame mortar is great against, like, bunkers everywhere, so if there's a lot of bunkers or encampments, just fire it down, and it'll just burn them out. It's great. Vehicle repair crews, as stated before, you already know that. It does make command vehicle. It's pretty good. It makes the command vehicle weaker, but it improves everything else around it, and also gives it the ability to call and recon, and the steadfast ability while automatically repairing emplacements. That way you don't have to have your Royal Engineers consistently and constantly coming to the aid and having to repair your structures, which is really good. And then there's another 3 that you can get through, I guess, either buying it. I think they're like $4 for a commander, or you can get them through a random drop. I was kind enough to get 2 of these in the same match at the end through a random drop. Very happy with the RNG gods with that. But anyway, the other one you can get is Royal Artillery. I hear a lot of people think this thing sucks because the Sexton is kind of like a priest, the American priest, good artillery, armored artillery unit. But the thing is, it's weaker, and it doesn't cost as much. But the thing is, it's just not as powerful. It's honestly not as explosive powerful. So there's that. The Valentine's a good tank. It's okay. It's definitely slightly better than a Puma, although I definitely killed it with a Puma. But it's not as... It's slightly worse than a Panzer IV, is the best way I can describe it. The perimeter overwatch is okay. I mean, the artillery is just... I mean, that's from your own base. And like I state, this artillery is just okay. It's not great. It's not fantastic. It's just okay, just peppering the enemy. What else? Order all available 25-pounders to hit target location. That's great. Just, again, hitting a specific location instead of more, like, varied. And, yeah, overall, this is an okay doctrine. I know a lot of people are like, it's just not as good. Then you have the special weapons, and both of these include something called the Vanguard Crocodile. This thing is a pretty much a Churchill body. So, like I said, it has the body of this Churchill, which, as you saw before, is taking a lot of hits. Except instead of a gun, just having the gun, it also has a flamethrower attachment, and it will just burn infantry like crazy. And like I said, you can just charge it at a bunch of AT guns, and it'll just destroy them. You need armor to kill it. It is very powerful, very deadly, and just incredible. Here, actually, you know what? I'll get one of those a little later. The airstrike itself, you can look up any of my videos. It's just very, very powerful, very deadly. We don't really have encampments, so I can't really show you its overall effect. But I think a flamethrower would be something that could definitely highlight its power. Anyway, so the special weapons and the Vanguard operations both have this a special, and with that, you can see here that they also come with tank hunters. So they're, again, that kind of helps with the British not having a lot of AT infantry, so that it takes up that. The resupply half-track's also pretty good, again, because you get the better equipment. Hold the line is also pretty good, because again, it just makes them better at just holding, and then you get a little bit of air support. Concentrated fire operations, very, very powerful, at just killing a bunch, like killing like encampments or emplacements, stuff like that. Yeah, Panzer, of course. And let's see. Then, like I said, the Vanguard's great. Also, you get the illumination, which is pretty cool. Then you get Vanguard operation. This one's more like air support focused and armor. You can see here, rapid operation allows you to capture stuff quicker. Forward logistics glider, you deploy that in your own territory, and it helps buff out the resources. Plus, you can use that as a forward like retreat point. Plus, you can buy commandos from it. With this one, you only get one commando. That's it. With this, with the forward logistics, you get a constant commander. Plus, you get air landing officer, which helps, I guess, buff your guys. Vehicle repairs are good, although it like pretty much covers your vehicle in smoke and then it heals it. The thing is, units can automatically just target the location and then they can kill it that way. So note that even though it's covered in smoke, units can still kill it. And then we look here and we can see Typhoons. Though pretty much it's pretty much 2 Typhoons, one pretty much with rockets, and then machine guns just hit an area. Very powerful, very deadly against armor and infantry alike, and even buildings. But overall, yeah, very good. Very awesome doctrine. There's also another doctrine, I forget the title of it, but it has an AVR, very similar to, I think it's this one, where it has an AVR, and it's pretty much a Churchill front with a, kind of like a Stern Tiger front. That's pretty good. My only concern with it is the fact it's not as good as a Stern Tiger. It's pretty good, it can kind of kill a tank, but overall it just doesn't have the quote-unquote firepower. What? Yeah, it just doesn't have the firepower of the Stern Tiger. That being said, you don't have to worry. I believe you don't have to worry. It will automatically reload and it's not as dangerous. So, there's that. Oh, looks like they're finally trying to kill my stuff.
Comet, it's a tank. We drive over and troops move us to their new position.
Oh, they did a bad job. Let's just put that stuff there. Trying to think what I should show. Yeah, let me just, I really want to show off the crocodile, but it's essentially just a thing with a massive flamethrower. It's a Churchill with a massive flamethrower on it. I feel like the best thing to do is just go commando and just show you that airstrike as one final, just like, oh, okay, this is what it is type thing. So, yeah, I'm just going to do that. So first off, let's do the recon pass. Let's just go sacrifice my... We'll go sacrifice the Firefly. Go into the enemy base. As you saw there, of course, planes went overhead. We'll do the mortar cover over here to help with infantry and stuff like that. Make sure if you have a vehicle, you always hit attack on target. Like I said, very powerful against just armor in general. Man, I'm gonna kill that thing. Bad day for it. Just bad day. And then we'll get some explosive rockets, deal with that. Very good against emplacements. The airstrike itself, you can't call it within the base. So as you can see here, if it's in the line, you can't, which is unfortunate. That being said, this guy was a little bit... Wait, hold on. Can I... Really? You can't call it over here? Wow, they're just going to send their armor to fight it? Okay. Whatever. Not going to judge. I'll take you all on. Trying to... Wow, okay. Let me just show you the firepower of this thing. Let's send in the Comet as well. And then Panzer Grenadiers are going to come in. Wow, they're not moving up. Okay, whatever. Kill me. Alright, we're gonna try this. Oh, can I not call it on the enemy base? Really? That kind of sucks. Oh, well. What about here? So I can call it in here. That's fine. Alright, we'll do a glider drop and I'll do an airstrike. Like I said, you can't call this in on the enemy base because it literally would destroy the enemy base. But you know what? We'll call it in right here. That's the glider for you. Land it in. And then you get commandos from it. The reason I put there, as you can see, it still has recon. So even though with them going, this carcass will still act as like a recon. Now let me show you the power of the airstrike. And why this thing might be slightly OP. This thing's airstrike will kill a King Tiger, by the way. I did test that out. So yeah, if you have encampments, just drop that airstrike on it and it'll literally kill everything in its way. So there's that. But yeah, that's the British forces for you guys. Pretty much everything I can highlight. I'll probably go over some of the commanders, I'll just add that in. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at the British. Overall, I think they're pretty good. I don't think they're OP. They might have some things that need tweaking, aka this, and maybe the UC. But overall, I feel like over time, the Company of Heroes 2 multiplayer base will find out ways and methods to counter it. So honestly, it will not be overpowered. It's just a new thing, so people are having a hard time grasping it. But like the OKW and the Americans, people will eventually get a grasp on it, and will eventually be able to counter it. Although I would like a new, you know, Axis, you know, quote-unquote faction to kind of balance it out, because right now it's just everyone's playing the British and it's like 1090, which I don't mind, because that's instant game for the Germans, which I like. It's like great. Love my Stern Tiger. We'll play it as much as I can. Anyway, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next time.